Well, good evening everybody, welcome back to Cone Racing League. We're here for round 9 at the USA Grand Prix here in Miami, and I'll join you through with 18 minutes of qualifying and full race distance, and we'll see what happens here tonight. 17 drivers here tonight, and as you all know, there's no long qualifying anymore because of the tyre rules changes. There's no point doing long qualifying because people everybody starts a brand new set of tyres, including if you're in the top 10, so that's why we've reduced it to short qualifying. But here we are then, we've got some cars coming out of the pit lane. Last time out we were in the Middle East at Saudi Arabia, and now we've moved over to the circuits of the American, well, that's Kota. We moved over to Miami. 2 night races previously, Singapore and Saudi Arabia, provided some good action there, and hopefully we'll get some good entertainment tonight. Safety cars are a tendency to be around here, and we can definitely rely on them. They can mix up the strategy calls, and last time out it was Walter who took the victory after Pease, who returned last week, unfortunately missed out a race win due to disconnection issues. There was a good battle between Nathan, Walter and Pease, but yeah, those disconnection issues just caused him to fall down the field, as well me, as I missed out the action as well. So hopefully that doesn't happen here tonight. And yeah, Walter, he's on a good form this season, 5 wins out of 8. Can he make it 6 out of 9? It's going to be a show to watch, this one. I know Walter's had some problems in the previous races, but somehow he always manages to bounce back. Like it's unlikely in some races that he's going to win a race, and all of a sudden it just appears out of nowhere and just wins. And Jeroen Visser, FVR, so he's in a different team tonight. He was in Relentless last time we saw him, now he's in FVR, so hopefully it ended good with Relentless. Looks like it was a good team, a good lineup for them, but Jeroen's moved on to a different team, so let's see how he goes here in USA then, as he crosses the line to start his lap as we head down into the first corner. Breaking about 100 metre board, hitting the apex in turn 1 here. Don't want to take too much curb in turn 2, just a little bit but not too much. Same as turn 3 as well. You can see him land the curves, bit of wheel spin on the exit. You can see the car lifted off the ground just slight there as we come into turn 4. Turn at the black box, use that curve on the inside. Same for this one as well. I try not to go too out wide through here. You can go very wide dependent, yeah, like that, especially like that, but not a little bit wider than that, otherwise you get a validation then. Get a good exit out of here with use of DRS, and let's see then how he approaches turn number 9. Can be quite difficult to track, and that little chicane there definitely catches out some drivers. It's very difficult to get right, especially in the slow speed corners. Headed into turn number 9, hitting the apex inside of turn 9. Take as much track as you possibly can, getting close to the wall but not too close. Same for this one here, bit of wheel spin on the entry towards there. 3rd gear, 4th gear corner, right in the curves. You can see the back end of the car stepping out, hitting the apex there. You can see the back end of the car is definitely stepping out, and you can see some wheel spin as he applies the throttle then as we make our way down this long back straight as we head towards the turn 18. We've got 90 corners around this track, approaching about 210 miles per hour, 336 kilometers an hour. Heavy braking zone, double locks the front. Gets the car turned in very nicely, but does get a good exit. You can see wheel spinning really badly there, so it's definitely affected his exits, and that might cost him a little bit. But 27.1 there for his first lap. I think that's a decent lap, especially when it's the first lap. And Joshua 5 tenths further back in P2, so a big deficit between those guys. And Griff goes into P3, but Walter snatches the fastest lap away, about under a tenth between Jeroen and Walter. P slots into P3 in his Aston Martin there, so it's his usual top 3, getting very close. And however, Nathan JB is out there in the Red Bull. He's coming towards that chicane now, exiting it, and he's exits 3rd gear, so you can see a lot of people wheel spinning coming out of there very heavily. So it's very difficult to get down on the power as you would want. It's pivotal there because it's your main overtaking spot. You really want to set yourself up with a nice exit so you can get a good run down the straight. So overtaking that final corner where we've seen people go side by side before in the past, you can see the back end of the car fishtailing as Nathan makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 27.5, and he slots himself into P3. We've got P5, sorry. Pyro has gone into P2. That's close between Pyro and Walter, and Ferg has put himself into P4 inside that top 4 then. So there's your initial lap times, and it's super close between Pyro and Walter, separated by under 200, if I'm correct with my mathematics there. If I can find the right graphic. Oh, over 200, so not quite there yet. But so look at that, under a tenth then between Walter and Giroud, and a tenth further back is Ferg in P4 in the Mercedes. Ferg, he could be a likely contender to win at the Singapore Grand Prix. He's still got it in him, and he's no longer summer, so he's able to race. And yeah, let's see what he could do in that Mercedes. He's shown good form this season, made contact in the first corner, I think, with an Aston Martin back at the Singapore Grand Prix. I think it was Resify. Those two came to blows, unfortunately, but Ferg definitely had good pace to show, and hopefully he can show it here tonight. Stani in P6 and 3/10 back, so that's interesting from Stani, because back in Saudi Arabia, the sprint race, he's shown some really strong pace, and all of a sudden he unfolded. He never got back on form ever since his, let's say, contact between I think it was him and Nathan when they were fighting the final corner. Pease, Stani and Nathan, and he wasn't able to show it in the full race distance either, so maybe he doesn't collect himself really well when he makes mistakes or something like that. But yeah, in P6, and it's a good result for him on his return to F1. I know he's been living in the UK for some time now, but he's back in Germany. And Ken in the Haas, his teammate's gone P9 ahead of Griff. We've got no Bompier or no Sieve tonight. It doesn't look, yeah, Bompier's in P16. We've got no Sieve tonight, fortunately for him, and I hope he's doing well. And majority of the drivers are in the pits then, so we've got 4 drivers without a lap time, which is Leroy in P14. I know Leroy hasn't had the best of form this season. It's a regular, I don't want to be too harsh on this, but it's a regular occurrence that both Alpines, they've shown some sheer pace in qualifying, but when it comes to the race, they make quite a few mistakes, it must be said, without being too harsh. But yeah, I really hope they can find their feet in the race pace, because if they were up there in the battle, it could be a really interesting battle between the main guys, with the 2 Alpines getting involved. But Pyro has been close to the top 3 this season, and he's the guy that caused the first safety car at the Singapore Grand Prix. But yeah, it's his race pace and consistency, and that it costs Pyro a lot. His qualifying is good like me, but when it comes to the race, you just tend to bottle under pressure. And talking about bottling, we've got Leroy go for a spin as he took towards curb on the entry towards that left-hander at turn number 8. So that's his lap time ruined, unfortunately. And let's get the map track up, because I don't think I'm getting these corners right. There's a lot of corners in that first sector, and I haven't really studied this track. I thought it was the Circuit of Americas, not the Miami Grand Prix. So where he spun was at turn number 6, heading into turn 7. So yeah, a lot of people have tended to spin there before. I've got to carry a lot of speed into that corner and take a very wide exit to get a slingshot, take a wide entry to get a slingshot exit. But unfortunately, he took that curve too much and sent him to a spin. Wolsey has got it to P10, and his best result this season has been P4. He showed some brilliant pace so far in the AlphaTauri. Had an intense battle back in Singapore. He was the start of the show, I dare say. But let's see what he could do then in that AlphaTauri. It's his first lap. I think he's going to go for a cool down. Looks like he's pushing still, but I don't think he's on a proper lap, because he is running out of fuel and ERS. Maybe he's just going to go for exploratory lap times, or just push it back to get back in the pit lane. And Bompier, he's in the McLaren. He's on a lap time. Our main contenders for this evening are out on the track, and that is Pyro and Walter. Walter is out there on the track. I think he's coming towards that long back straight, as you can see in your full map there. So looks like he's on course to ending his lap very shortly as we go aboard with the Ferrari. That's his validated lap time, so he was a tenth down in the first sector, and he has gone for an validation, unfortunately. So let's see. I'm intrigued to see if he's going to go for another run. Maybe not, because he's got 4 sets of softs, so I don't want to waste time on those sets of softs. So he is coming back in the pit lane. Pyro in the Alpine, he's also invalidated in that first sector, so his lap time is ruined. If I can go back on board with Bompier, let's see what he can do. It's a 2.2 in the middle sector. I think you want to be aiming for like a 1.5, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. I haven't driven this track for a while, so I don't quite know what the times are, but Bompier's coming towards the line now. Oh, it's a decent lap time. It's a 27.3 from Het Bompier, and IRT there, P6, P7 and P8. Nathan, I dare say, is out of position and all that, because Yeah, we're not usually seeing Nathan in these positions before. He's been up there in the top 3, and he's currently a 10th up in that middle sector. So let's see how he takes these few corners. They're very slow speed corners, but very difficult as well. You can see there, the direction of the car is very smooth as he makes his way on the long back straight now. It's responding well, the back end's not stepping out, he's controlling the pace of that Red Bull, stayed in third gear, and Pease has got to the top of the timing sheets with a 27.0. It's taken pole about 1100, so good lap time there from Relentless Pease. Relentless 1-2 as well from the boys there. And Nathan's going to make his way towards the line now. Let's see what lap time he's got in his locker. A 27.1 is P5 for him. Decent lap time from Nathan. He's only a 10th off of Peace's time, so plenty of time for him to be found. And his brother is not here either, AJ. So AJ, Bakke Yogurt, Super Mug, they're all not here, and Steve of course. And Knight is here at his, I was about to say his home Grand Prix, but he was born in Canada. Yeah, the Canadian Grand Prix, sorry about that, Knight. And Leroy has invalidated his lap time yet again, so things not going well for the Alpine driver, whereas his teammate is out there on the track as well in P3. We did see him invalidate his first run. Looks like he's going for a second run on the same set of soft compound tyres then. Looks like the Ferrari was too close for comfort there for his liking. And now he's making his way towards the slow speed corners, taking a lot of curb, which you want to do. You want to take the right amount of curb through there, because if you take too much, or you can easily invalidate or spin the car around. And he has improved in that middle sector, so let's see if this is enough to bag his first pole position of the season. I remember him taking pole back in Spain last season when Seville Gamer qualified P2. But here he is then, round turn 18. Looks like he got a decent exit from what I'm seeing. No, he's back in the pit lane, so decided this lap is not the one. And bearing in mind though, it did go for 2 laps as well. As you can see, he's not got enough fuel in his car, and he's run out of EOS. So looks like he's got more to offer as Pyro. This is Giroud Vizsla then making his way out of turn number 8 on this second DRS zone now. We're not really seeing too much overtaking here. I'm talking about the real life races, but that was at the end of the Grand Prix. We saw Magnussen and Stroll come together. This is not really an opportunity to overtake. You really want to set yourself up. Oh, he misses the apex there, so lost a little bit of time. Gone deep on the brakes. Heading in towards turn number 11, turn 13 and turn 14 now. I always hesitate through these corners. I can see then the back end of the car stepping out yet again, so looks like it's not really tuned in to Giroud's driver's style. You can see he's lost a 10th in the middle sector, so with 5 minutes left to go on the clock, I wonder if he's going to back out of this lap and head back in the pit lane. Doesn't look like it's a comfortable session for Giroud. Bear in mind, he is in P4 though, but the back end of the car just seems too happy. Just always backing out, and I think he's heading in the pit lane. Yes, he is. And let's see what Giroud can do then once he makes his way back on the track. Walter's out there in P2. Approaching about 303 kilometers an hour. That's 3 kilometers an hour down what Nathan did. Nathan did a 336 and Walter did a 333. So you can see then Nathan run a bit more straight line speed in that Red Bull. And Walter crossed the line. It's a 26.7, and Walter absolutely obliterates the timing sheets. And he's put himself 3/10 clear of Relentless Pease there. So that's game on for the drivers below. Can any of these drivers respond? Pyro is on an out lap. He's on the track so far. But yeah, could any of these guys respond to Walter's amazing time? The first man in the 26ers, and put himself 3/10 clear of the rest of the field then. We've got Evans Joshua out there in P9. He's 2/10 up in the first sector. What can he do in the middle? It's 4/10 up. This is going to be a time that's going to be put in P7 unless he can find more time in this last sector, which is basically a straight in 2 corners. But here we go then, heading into the heavy braking zone. Be absolutely spot on with this braking zone here. Very easy to lose traction in this final corner here. Very easy it's very tempting to get back on the throttle, but wheel spin is the main issue through there. It's a 27. Oh, that is a fantastic lap time from Joshua. 26.9. He found 2/10 in that final sector, and he's just put himself on the front row along with Walter then. So Joshua, can he hang on to P2? Don't think he has enough time to come back in the pit lane. No, he doesn't. So that's his qualifying done and dusted. He hasn't got time for going for another lap because he is running out of fuel. So that's Joshua's qualifying session done and dusted. And let's see if P2 is where we'll start later on once we get the classifications. Majority of these drivers are in the pit lane, just waiting for these final few moments to go on a lap. We've got Bompier, I think. Yeah, he's going for a lap now, but he is saying he's run out of fuel. No, he's not run out of fuel. It's his like a teammate in the pit lane or something. He hasn't got a teammate for this race. I don't know what that red light was, but here we go then. RT Bompier. He doesn't take the curve into turn 2. He takes a lot of curve into turn 3. Gets away with it because if you do that, the back end of the car just tends to step out. Haven't got enough, but it looks like his car's planted. Look at that, fully committed through there. Going into turn 7 now. Oh, look at that, the long left-hander at turn 8 puts a lot of temperatures into your tyres, but good rotation, good exit there. Looks like the car is well tuned in for how Bompier's liking. He's already a 10th up in his first sector there, so this looks like he's a decent lap. But there's more corners to come. Difficult chicane to negotiate your way around, and heavy braking zone yet to come. Braking at the 100 metre board. Doesn't really connect with the apex that much, but might not make a huge impact on his performance. But here we go then. Let's see. Oh, the back of the car, the first part of that chicane did step out as he gets a nice entry into here, gets close to the wall, and he's lost some time in this middle sector there. So that chicane there has really cost him. He didn't really hook it up as much as he would have wanted, and Joshua's retired from this session. Head Bompier heads towards this last braking zone. You can see there, scrubbing off all the speed, getting on the power without wheel spin, and now he makes his way. Oh, that's a late call in the pit lane. He is not satisfied with that lap time, and yeah, it all unfolded in that middle sector there. Unfortunately for him, that difficult chicane catching people out, but our main contenders are out on a flying lap. And it says Pyro's already done one lap on these set of tyres, so it looks like Pyro's gone for a lap, and it's not worked out so far for him in the Alpine, unfortunately. So this is his second lap on the same set of tyres, unless it's not. Let's have a look. No, ignore what I'm saying, it's just on the wrong graphic there. So we'll go on board with Pyro then as we make our way down into turn 1. This is a brand new set of tyres. He hasn't gone for another lap. That was on the wrong graphic. It's fourth gear. Doesn't really take too much speed. I thought he would, but Liam has got a penalty for colliding with Tigriff. Was that the Red Bull? Yeah, there they are then. So those two have came together, and that is interesting. Those two, were they at a flying lap? Because it doesn't say out lap, and they're running out of time. They can't make it towards the line because they haven't got enough time to do so. So were those two on a lap? And Liam has lost his front wing. Yeah, those two must have been a lap together, and I think Liam might have spun and Tigriff collected him. Could have been the other way around, but nevertheless, they're both taken some huge damage from it, especially Liam as he gets a 5-place grid penalty. Qualifying is over, and there's an Alpine in the wall. That is Leroy, who has retired there, and Pyro has just been invalidated. Has invalidated his lap time. Sorry, I'm about to say disqualified. So we'll go on board with Pease then, switch towards the Aston Martin. Let's see what he's got in his dispense, and let's see, can he improve? Can he take pole position away from Walter? Walter's out there on the lap as well, along with Giroud, Visser. Nathan's out there, and Ferg's out there. It's perilously close between those guys in the midfield there. Pease now making his way towards the Mickey Mouse corner. Doesn't take a lot of curb on the entry towards there, neither does that one. Doesn't use the full extent of those curbs. But let's see how much time he's gained or lost. He's lost 1/10 in that middle sector, and Ferg's crossed the line to go P6. Steiny has just gone P3 in the Haas. That boy's found some pace, and he's just overtaken Pease into P3. So Steiny wants to keep an eye out in the Haas. Where's Walter? He's coming towards the last corner right now. There he is in the background, and Pease makes his way towards the line. It's not an improvement. He stays P4. Or P5 should I say, as Walter exceeds the bar, raises the bar, sorry, and it's a 26.6, but Nathan JB has popped his Red Bull into P2 then. The gap is huge, it's 3/10 between Walter and Nathan. But I think Joshua's gone P3, he's actually P3 before, for a while, as he went out earlier than others, but that's qualifying done and dusted then. Walter is on pole, ahead of Nathan, and Joshua in P3. Gotta say, Steiny is the highlights of this qualifier session, and Leo will be put into 70th place with that 5-place grid penalty, and that is qualifying done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We move on to the race. Let's see what it brings. Ferrari versus Red Bull at the top. Good evening, Topher. Good evening, Dragon on Speed. How are you boys doing? Hopefully you're both okay. And let's have a look at the tire allocation. It's normal as usual, but we've got the odd few going for the medium compound tyres, Night, Dual and Pyro, so both Alpines there splitting strategies. Some people don't even have teammates, which is head bumpier in the McLaren. I think Wolsey doesn't have a teammate either in the AlphaTauri, so they don't have to worry about double stacking if there is a safety car. But a 29 lap race ahead of us. Thank you, Dragon. I appreciate that, mate. How do you rate this track, Dragon? Do you like it? Personally, I don't really. I mean, yeah, my humble opinion. Well, honest opinion, I don't really like this track at all. It looks, I don't know, it's fun to drive, but in terms of racing, it's just, yeah, I don't really like this track at all. Las Vegas, you never know what that could bring. But we've got 3 USA races. I think Las Vegas will be the 12th race hosted at USA Grand Prix. We've had 11 races previously, the recent one being this one, Miami, Indianapolis, Texas, everywhere around USA. Obviously Texas got introduced at 2012. I think Lewis Hamilton won that Grand Prix. Yeah, then Sebastian Vettel the year after. Hopefully it'll be a fun race. I want to see, oh look at that, Wout has got some big distance over Nathan and the rest of the company there. And you can see Liam just approaching the, well, not even halfway down to the final corner. Yeah, but what's your opinions on this track then, Topher and Dragon? What do you think? It's good to drive, well it's fun to drive around if you can get the hang of it, but Stanley's been disqualified, but I don't think that'll affect him too much because they are at the grid, so it won't get too cold tyres for long. Have driven a lot, kind of like the flow in the first sector and the technical chicane before sector 3, so I like it. It's going to be frustrating to drive. It's super easy to pick up penalties and make mistakes around here. I haven't driven this track for a while. As the Alfa Romeo at the back of the grid has lined up, and the race is about to start then for round 9 at Miami. The lights are away, and I don't think Walter got the best of starts. And let's see what happens down into the first corner. Walter stays in front then. The Alpine and the Aston Martin are fighting over for P4. The Aston Martin, the other one's gone diving down the inside. Not quite sure if they made contact with anybody there. But Pyro has moved himself up into P4 as you expect on the medium compound tyres. A bit of mayhem going on in the midfield there. You can see Knight into P11. Chiorti Leroy into P9 there. As you can see some position changes already then. But nice and steadily at the front there for Walter. It looked like he didn't get the best of starts judging for what I saw. But the second phase, it seems like it was okay and stayed in front. Pease and Giroud going side by side there. Former title rivals going at it as Giroud there putting pressure on Pease. He's got himself into P5. Further up, we've got Evans, Joshua and Pyro fighting. Pyro on the medium compound tyres, as you expect, being quicker than everybody else around him. Those tyres up to temperature, working well for the LP driver. So he's made 3 positions already from P6 to P3. Good start, clean start for Pyro. And let's see then if he can make up any more positions and possibly take the lead of this race. You can see there, not the best entry into that chicane there for Joshua. Was underwhelmed by Giroud, but managed to get himself back into shape as Giroud made a little mistake as well going into that chicane. He's got Pease all over the back of him then. I wonder if Pease will make a move going down into this heavy braking zone. I don't think so. He's too far back though. So looks like there was no contact made. But Ferg, however, I did see Mercedes drop down. And it's Ferg down into P15 then. So did he make contact with anybody? I wonder. He's got McLaren and Bonpier. Bonpier too, not having the best of starts. And Duel, he was the Aston Martin I was talking about, diving down the inside. I'm not quite sure if he's lost his front wing. I can't see. Looks like he's got his front wing, but how much of it? All of it. So I'm not quite sure why he's slowing down. But nevertheless, though, he's down in last place. However, Pyro then all over the back of Nathan. These two, I think, were former teammates back at last seasons. I think they were in the Aston Martin together. No, that was Robbie actually. Robbie and Nathan were teammates last season in the Aston Martin. Pyro was in the Alpine. I think he likes that car. He's always in the Alpine and he's putting major pressure. Nathan makes a mistake though out of turn number 8 and Pyro's going to be all over the back of him. Let's go side by side then heading onto this middle straight. Dubel's retired in the pit lane, so he's called it a day already. We've got 4 drivers in the pit lane. Ken, Liam, Tegriff and Bonpier all in the pit lane then. Some are going on the medium, some are going on the soft compound tyres, hoping for a safety car, because if you go on the softs, you don't use your one set of mediums or hards. You can use it once the safety car comes out in the right place for you. And that's the strategy people tend to go on if they do make mistakes early in the race. They don't want to use that hard tyre and go back on the tyres they have and they're already worn out. However, it's Walter leading. Pyro in P2 is in DRS range of Walter. He should be able to follow this close early in this race due to those medium compound tyres giving the extra boost for him. And you can see that the Williams is under pressure from Giroud. So then as Giroud got a decent exit coming out of that chicane there. Turn 16 and looks like they were both made a little bit of contact as Giroud Visser has made his way up into P4 of Joshua then. He was under pressure from Pease at one point, but Giroud then has found his form and now he's up into P4. He's going to apply some pressure on Nathan. Giroud has just set the fastest lap of this race as well. He's drained a lot of that battery in his move to get past Joshua into P4. And now DRS is unable to spice up the action. If Walter can break this 1 second gap, it's going to be a huge, it's going to be a long race for Nathan if he can't manage to find a way past Pyro, or if Pyro can't stay in DRS, because it's going to be hard to overtake Pyro early stages of this race. It'll be very hard to overtake Pyro in the stages of the race with those medium compound tyres. So Nathan hopes that Pyro stays in the DRS range so Walter doesn't pull away. But at the minute, Walter's doing a stellar job and he's pulled over a second already on this lap to break himself away from DRS then and leave Nathan in a bit of trouble following Pyro. So it looks like Nathan then will have to try and find a way past Pyro, having the DRS advantage but not the tyre advantage early in this race. Knight, however, one of those gainers as well. He's moved himself up into P10 at the USA Grand Prix. And you can see Pyro 1.4 seconds away then from Walter as he continues to lead this race. And Pyro is going to be a massive DRS train provider all the way down to P7 with Stein at the back of the train and Waltzy 2.1 seconds further back. So make our way down into turn number 17 or 18. I know there's 19 corners around this track, and this is the plus one, and that's the final one as we head on to lap 4. Then out of 29, Walter sets the fastest lap for Scuderia Ferrari, and QRT Leroy has gone for a spin, I think. Maybe not, made a slight error. He's lost 3 positions, and he is in the pit lane. Unfortunately there from the Alpine driver, not finding any sort of pace or form whatsoever, and he's retired in the pit lane, so that's his day done and dusted here at the Miami Grand Prix. I can finally ride on board then with Nathan, and let's see how he applies his pressure. This is where he lost start to Pyro, in this corner right here, turn and brake, where he got a bad exit, lost the back end of the car but then managed to collect it. You can see they've got to watch out for Giroud lurking in his rear wing as well. Nathan currently sat P2 in the championship, done a good job so far this season, missed out on about 2-3 wins due to the wrong strategy course, Singapore being a big one. After he stayed out there on the wet compound tyres, the rest of them went on the inters. No, it was actually the other way around. He stayed out there on the inters, and the rest. Oh, Nathan there, getting a bit too happy, and I thought has to go over the chicane, and now Giroud's going to be all over the back of him there. So Nathan getting a bit too happy on the throttle there, could not make the corner and had to back out and cut the corner, but hopefully he hasn't got a warning or a penalty. And there goes Giroud, and then Nathan is out of DRS range of Pyro, and I'm afraid he has to let him go. So Giroud can get back into DRS of Pyro. Don't think Nathan was going to go down the inside there, but he's so close to the back of that rear wing. Joshua and P is going side by side. You can see wheel spin there for Joshua as they continue the battle in the final corner. But Joshua, lacking ERS, has enabled P's to get past into P5. And the Aston Martin moves himself back into P5 after losing some places at the start of the race. Let's see what Giroud can do with P3. Has he got the pace to stay with Walter if he can clear that Alpine or Pyro? Let's see the positions gained and positions lost. So actually P's lost 1 place at the start of the race. He fell down to P6, but he's up into P5. Pyro's gained 4, Giroud has gained 4 in 5 laps. Nathan's lost 2 after making mistakes early in this race. Waltzy's gained 6, Knight's gained 6, Leo's gained 1, Ferg's lost 3. I did talk about Ferg being the biggest loser out of all that one, unfortunately for him. I'm not quite sure what happened to him down the first corner. No, I saw Aston Martin dive down the inside. Not quite sure if he was involved in that, but if he was, then unfortunate for him. Let's see. Let's hope he can recover from P11. Yeah, but the start of the race though, looks like Pyro didn't get the best Walter didn't get the best getaway, but in the second phase, just managed to pull away from the Red Bull and the Williams. I think Joshua was starting in P3. He's fallen down to P6 as Joshua, so he's got some ground to make after a bad start for him. Standing there in P7, he's just drifted away from this DRS train from P6, and he's looks like he's running a little bit of a lonely race standing P7 there, with Waltzy being 4.7 further back. I think Stanley would be I think he'd just be okay for a decent result, because on his return to Formula 1 he just wants to settle in, and yeah, it's nice to see him involved in a few battles back at Saudi Arabia. Looks like he's showing some decent pace as well, trying to keep up with these cars. But it can be very hard now with 3 DRS zones and being out of DRS. And Giroud there just hovering around that 1 second mark of DRS. In fact, he's actually got himself in that DRS range. So let's go on board with him then. He's taken about 5 tenths away in this first sector alone off Pyro. And about 4 or 5 laps time, these tyres should come into play. The hard compound tyres. And Topher said there's about 3 safety cars and VSCs in Tier 2, so there's a lot of safety cars in that Tier 2 race. Wonder how many we'll get here tonight. Let's see who's the first man to crash out on track, as Ferg has moved himself up into P10, looking to regain some lost ground. Yeah, that explains it then. Unfortunately, Dual has suffered pedal problems, technical difficulties. I actually didn't know he made contact with anybody into turn one. I just saw an Aston Martin in the background there, just making a move, and then I didn't know he made contact with anybody. But if he did, could be most likely Ferg. Ferg's on the back of his teammate Knight. So let's see how that battle goes. Knight on the faster tyres, on the medium compound tyres, and Giroud all over the back of the Alpine as Ferg has moved up into P9 ahead of his teammate Knight. We've got Leo putting pressure on the Mercedes ahead of him, so Knight under big pressure then, hoping to stay in the top 10, but more importantly the battle for P2 is intensifying. Here's those medium tyres starting to fade away just a little bit there for Pyro's liking. He'll be a bit vulnerable now in these next few laps with those tyres starting to fade away. But nevertheless, he made some good ground at the start of the race, moved himself up into P1. Now Jeroen Visser is putting pressure on the Alpine. And Nathan there just trying to stay within DRS range, and Jeroen's gone deep going into turn number 9. But it hasn't made, it looks like he made a few mistakes there in qualifying. It did see him outbrake himself a little bit there. You can see there better grip for those hard compound tyres with Jeroen. That was turn 11, sorry, down at turn 11 where he made that mistake. But hasn't lost too much time in comparison to Pyro. Has DRS on this straight, but obviously too far back to make a move. I'm not going to use his ERS because he's strayed a lot of it. ERS management is going to be another struggle around here too. Oh, he's gone for a spin! The Alfa Romeo Jeroen has spun coming out of the final corner, and he is dived in the pit lane. I hope he doesn't retire from the session. I think he's got front wing damage. He did hit the wall, but I'm not quite sure how much. It looks like, yeah. Oh, he's not changing his front wing. Going on the soft compound tyres then, so he's not staying out those hard compound tyres. That's an interesting strategy call there from Jeroen. So it's going to be a two-stop strategy for him. It's going to be soft and medium, or back on the hards if he wants to, because those tyres are not old at all. But yeah, then that's released pressure off Pyro's shoulders. But I dare say the battle between himself and Nathan will be inevitable once those medium tyres start to drop away in the next upcoming laps then. Jeroen, it's a shame for him. I know Saudi Arabia at the sprint race made contact with his teammate, got squeezed into the wall with Super Mug. It was a 1-2 to last place within a few seconds of the race. Didn't even make it to the first set of those two, but second week running he's dropped down the field. Just got a little bit too happy on the throttle there. The back end of the car just stepping out with wheel spin. And P's putting pressure on Nathan then. So it looks like Nathan then is losing time in comparison to Pyro. And P's making his way down the inside. Late on the brakes, and the Aston Martin has made his way up into P3. However, further behind we've got Ferg making a move on Waltzy. He's just gone into P7 ahead of the AlphaTauri. I think the AlphaTauri will get DRS. Yes, he will, but can he fight back on Ferg? It's turn 1. I think he's too far behind. I don't think he can. So what can Nathan do from here on in then in P4? It just looks like he's just losing pace and losing touch within those guys. Maybe Miami's not being his favourable track. What can he do then? Can he stay within the DRS of P's? He's made a few mistakes in this race. 2 major mistakes which has lost him a lot of time. And Jeroen is back in the pit lane. I wonder if he selected the wrong tyres. He's gone on the hard compound tyre. No, he changed his full wing. So yeah, I think he wanted to change his full wing, but the team didn't let him for some reason. Now he's back in the pit lane. So yeah, technical difficulties going on the Alfa Romeo garage there, not changing Jeroen's full wing. He is on the hard compound tyres he started on. He was going to go on the soft compound tyres for a short stint, but the team didn't change his full wing. Now he's back on the hard compound tyres. He's not wanted to use the mediums just in case there's a safety car at the end, or somewhere towards the where the mediums is the preferred tyre at the end, where the mediums can last a distance. So that's why he's not using those tyres yet, just in case there is a safety car, because once that safety car does come out, they'll all stick on the medium compound tyres except Knight and Pyro, and Tigriff as well, because he's used the mediums up. You only get 1 set of mediums and 1 set of hards, unlike last year on previous games where you get like loads of hards and mediums, like 2 sets of medium, or 3 sets of mediums, 2 sets of hards, and a bunch of softs that you haven't used in qualifying. Yeah, strategy calls are difficult to make this game, because if you make a mistake, that's it. It basically game over, because you don't have many tyres to choose from. You can't even save tyres up either, because I remember back in the 2019 and 2020 game where you can stick on the medium compound tyre for your qualifying run and use them up, but that's not to be. It's all soft compound tyres now. You don't get the choice of the softer, harder, or balanced strategy, as they called it back then. It's just all softs being used. Bearing in mind though, we did see, I think it was at the Japanese Grand Prix qualifying, we did see Lewis Hamilton and George Russell using mediums, so I'm not quite sure why these drivers can't do it. But it looks like Pease is edging towards Pyro now. That battle's going to be inevitable soon. Massive wheel spin there for Nathan, the exit of that corner, and Pease did get DRS at the back of the Alpine. So it looks like Pyro's then falling into Pease's rear wing. And look at Joshua down there in P5, just running his race. I say a decent, solid, good results for Joshua this season. I think he led a race twice this season, if I'm not mistaken. I think Singapore was one of them, and the Canadian Grand Prix, where he was in the lead for so long. Unfortunately, just struggled with tyres at the end of the race. Yeah, he did a solid job to defend and attack, but just couldn't hold on. Yeah, so he's collected himself some good results this season as Joshua. If I look at the championship standings right now, Walter's got a major lead over the rest of the guys. I've just scored off. I need to go back on the championship standings. I just was on the app a few seconds ago, so I should have them up right now. Yeah, so Walter's got 108 point advantage over Nathan, and Ken's in the pit lane on the soft compound tyres. So is Bompia, so those tyres haven't lasted long at all, and they're going to go on the medium compound tyres. Can they do 18 laps on the mediums? I'm not quite sure, but it's going to be a long stretch for those on the medium compound tyres right now in this race. Let's see how long they can take it. Pyro is taking the medium compound tyres for 11 laps so far, but it looks like he's struggling now with grip, as Pease is crawling all over the back of the gearbox of that Alpine, with Nathan just further behind. And the DRS then is enabled for the Aston Martin driver. He's got no ERS whatsoever in his disposal, but he still makes his way past the Alpine. Nathan needs to follow through very quickly if he wants to stay in contact with Pease, and it doesn't even matter anyway because Pyro is in the pit lane to make his first stop on the hard compound tyres. Good first stint from Pyro, because he had some solid pace in that Alpine to stick with those guys. Waltzy and the Williams of Leo are battling. I think these two were battling in Singapore. They had a really good battle at the Singapore Grand Prix. They're at it again here at Miami. They can't keep away from each other, Ken, Waltzy and Leo. And Waltzy then gets the better of the Williams. You see the Williams there getting out of shape coming out of the first few corners. As we make our way down into these tricky few corners right here, very easy to make a major mistake. So Pierre Gasly here going very wide through here at one point at the Miami Grand Prix, which cost him, well, which actually caused a collision between himself and Lando Norris. That's why I caused the safety car out to come out in the last few laps of that race this season. Gap between Pease and Walter is huge. The gap is 3 seconds, and Leo then wanted to go down the inside, and there he is. They go side by side with Waltzy, but Waltzy has the inside line for this corner, but which one's going to back out? Because you can't go side by side through here. In fact, they are. Let's go on board with these two then. And I knew one of them was going to back out because you can't go side by side through there. And if you did, contact would be inevitable there. We've got the Mercedes and Knight following as well on those medium compound tyres, but I don't think he'll be on the battle for this too long because of those tyres fading away. Williams under pressure yet again then, as Waltzy this time goes on the outside line, as they once again make their way side by side. Good racing from these two. And Waltzy then should have DRS, as Chibuza has gone for a spin, but I'll hold off from that because I want to see the battle between these two as they make their way down into turn of 1. And Chibuza's made a mistake in that chicane. That corner there, he's really been struggling in that chicane because the back end of the car just kept stepping out for him in qualifying, and it's done it once again in this race. And this time Leo stays ahead of Waltzy, but it's going to be a good battle between these two all race long. Could be the highlights of this race. But however, Nathan has clawed that gap back down towards Pease now in P2, so those two are going to have a good battle for that position there. Nathan was struggling earlier on in this race, but as he finally found his rhythm, did make him a few mistakes earlier on, but this time out putting pressure on the Aston Martin ahead of them. They've got a decent gap over Joshua in P4. The gap is 3.5, and Steiny running a lonely old race in P5. You can see there Mercedes way far behind in the background, and the guys ahead in the foreground just disappearing. So Pyro has rejoined down in P10, and he's got himself in a bit of traffic because as you can see there, Knight, Waltzy and Leo are in a battle for P7, and he needs to make his way past them as quickly as he can. He can't afford to get stuck behind those guys, otherwise those guys on the hards that will switch over to the mediums will have a huge advantage on him. So Pyro, it's imperative that he gets past them as quickly as they can. And talk about passing, Pyro's gone for the move, and Knight's in the pit lane, so that explains why Pyro is up into P9. Now he's got a battle in AlphaTauri and Williams to contend with, and those two are going to be fighting all night long. So Pyro best hope he can find a way past those two as quickly as he can. He can't afford to get stuck behind those two, because for his strategy to work, he needs to make the most of these hard compound tyres right now. So those guys will have a harder time catching up on those medium compound tyres, doing the undercut on those guys ahead, extending on those hard compound tyres until they switch over to the mediums. Pyro with the extra grip should have a big advantage on these two, in the AlphaTauri and the Williams. He has DRS on them, so does Waltzy on the Williams. But where does Pyro choose his moments? Where does he dare outbrake Waltzy? Not in this corner, too far back, and I think Waltzy saw that coming too, as he defended the inside line. But I don't think Waltzy knows, I don't think Waltzy has to fight this out too much. He knows this is not his battle. And Jiruna spun again down to the first corner, no, turn 3. That's a common place to spin. Quick on board, there we go, turn number 3. Back on board with Pyro right now. The AlphaTauri does not have the DRS on the Williams ahead of him, so he's lost connection with the Williams ahead of Leo. But I think Waltzy could use Pyro to close in the gap on that Williams, and once Pyro makes the move on Leo, then he's able to fight back on the battle for P7 or P8 it should be. Yeah, but crucial move there for Pyro not to get stuck behind those two. It's a good job they weren't fighting side by side, those two, otherwise Pyro would have lost a load of time. Luckily they're just separated. I think Pyro might get hold up a little bit in this first sector, so he needs to make this move down at turn number 11 if he can get close enough. Has the ERS, but doesn't want to use too much of it, of course, but does make a slight mistake going to these first few corners, does Pyro, as Chivoon gets a 3-second time penalty. However, Nathan perilously close between himself and Pease, and Pyro picks up a 3-second time penalty as well, not helping his chances of getting up the field. Does he make a move down to turn 11? He's close enough. How much does what Leo wants to fight? He's going to go on the inside line. He's going to fight this out, you know. Does he outbreak himself? No, he doesn't. Go a little bit deep, but that's the normal racing line for him. And he's making this difficult for Pyro. He doesn't want to let the Alpine through. Maybe he's doing this for Joshua, because Joshua's in P4 and Drew's retired in the pit lane, so no safety car will be deployed. But this is not helping Pyro, but he should definitely get him down into turn number 17. There's no reason why he shouldn't. Leo then, I think he knows his fate's coming. Interestingly, Pease, the big runners, are in the pit lane. He's going to try and go for an undercut on Walter, but he's got a big gap to try and draw down. Another yellow flag. That's an Alpine? No? Who's that yellow flag for? That's Jiroon coming out of the pit lane. I thought it was an Alpine or Williams actually, because the car was there once it happened. So where does Pease rejoin then? He's in the Aston Martin. He rejoins ahead of Pyro, crucially then. And I dare say Pyro won't be able to. Well, he's actually going to go for the move as Pyro. Pease's tyres needs to warm up. It's very important these two don't make contacts. They go side by side now through this first sector going into turn number 8. Which one of them has DRS? Which one has the grip to go around the outside? That's Pyro. But will Pease have DRS now onto this straight? I think he will. And there we are then, DRS enabled for the Aston Martin. It's going to be very difficult for Pyro to fight this out, because Pease on the medium compound tyres, once those start to warm up, Pease should be able to pull away. But this is not helping Pease's battle with Nathan, as he wants to undercut him. Pease goes off the track slightly there, and he rejoins in P5 then. So good battle as the Williams in the background there, looking for an advantage if these two make contact. And Nathan, I think, should respond on this lap. That battle might have helped Nathan, and I think he will respond. And no, he doesn't. He stays out actually. So the longer he stays out, the worse it will get for him in terms of the undercut, as Pease will have a big chance of bringing that gap down while Nathan's out there on the old hard compound tyres. Interestingly, no VSCs or safety cars yet to appear in this race. Walter is exiting the pit lane while Steiny is entering. And where is Walter going to be joining all of this then? He should be perfectly clear ahead of Pease, which he is. Does need to warm up those tyres, but that should be easy on the medium compound tyres, which is the mid-range tyre. Not a lot of surface temperature that has to be warmed up. Obviously the hard compound tyres takes a lot of time to warm up, and Pease there, he took too much curb going into turn number 6, and luckily he did spin the car. I thought he would, but he got off the throttle immediately once he knew that he took too much curb. Stock compound tyres are not being used in this race. It doesn't get used in any race unless it's a safety car late in this race. The problem is though, in qualifying, some people use all 4 sets of tyres, and they don't get a fresh set once they go on the if they do go on the stock compound tyre during the safety car period. It might be 1 lap hold, but 1 lap hold could be 7 or 8% of the tyres gone already. That's how much the tyre wear is in this modern day game. So unfortunately the stock compound tyres don't get used anymore. I remember a time when the hard tyres got barely used, but Nathan then makes his way into the pit lane, and off he goes then. He's going to go on the medium compound tyres. Joshua follows him in, and I think Pease with the 2 extra laps should be able to rejoin in front of him. There he is in the Aston Martin, setting the fastest lap of this race, and he does get the jump on Nathan then. As you can see there, nowhere to be seen is Nathan. Pyro will go through as well. There comes Nathan out of the pit lane, so he's lost 2 positions, but with Nathan's tyre advantage he should be able to come back on Pyro. Pease might be a bit of a stretch. He did show some good pace earlier on in this race. Got a lot of work to do then for Nathan if he wants to have a fight with Pease. Ferg is in P7 1.8, so he's chasing Steiny down. Could be an interesting battle between those two. Yeah, Ferg unfortunately there in the first corner, having a bit of contact sustained to his car, having to pit for it. I don't think he didn't pit actually for a brand new front wing. He just dropped down the order, but he's making his way back now and putting pressure on Steiny. How many positions can Ferg gain in this race? He has got a 3-second tyre penalty hovering over him, so it's Joshua. Oh, Pyro's got himself a 3-second tyre penalty again. So that's 6 seconds on it, added on to Pyro. But interestingly, how many positions can... oh, look at these two, yet again having another fight going into the chicane then. Let's see who comes out on top this time round. Nice shot there from these two. They're going side by side. Oh! Yeah, not a place you want to be side by side through there. And I think the Williams and Leo might have picked himself up a warning for overshooting the chicane. But it's Balsy comes out on the top for the time being. But Leo will have DRS on him. It should be an easy move on this straight for him. And he moves himself back up to P8. But what a fantastic battle. Balsy's going back down the inside, going into turn number 17. Does the Williams go too wide? No, he doesn't. And for the time being, he stays ahead, as Waltzy's found some time to gain on the Williams ahead of him. Jeroen has unfortunately left the session then, so all unfolded the final corner for him. Was hoping the safety car could relight in his race, but unfortunately there, no safety cars, surprisingly, in this race. Say that though, another one could be caused later on. Who haven't we talked about in this race? Not Bompier, Ken in P11. We haven't talked about him. He's currently sat in P11. Liam has overtaken to Griff. They're going side by side now. But we need to go ball with P4 because he's currently putting pressure on Pyro ahead of him. There we are in the Red Bull and Alpine. And Nathan with the better grips and better tyres should be able to make this easy move on Pyro with the all the hard compound tyres. That's the strategy. That's the strategy this race. Well, I say this race, this game. It's hard to mediums unless there's a safety car that benefits you later on. If there's a safety car early doors in the race, like lap 9, 10, it'll benefit the mediums. But if it's a clean race and there's no mistakes, and Waltzy, did he make a mistake in that chicane there? Yes, he has, because he's just dropped behind Knight and he's lost the time to Leo as well. So Waltzy has just dropped into P10, but it looks like his front wing is still intact. I don't think he has to make a pit stop, judging by this camera angle here, as the front wing and the end plates are still there. Hopefully he could continue on. Might pit about a little bit of damage, you never know, but looks like he's still continuing then in that AlphaTauri. It's not been the best of races so far, but oh well. You don't always have a good race, or you don't always have an interesting race in, race out. Thank you so much for the comments in the chat. Try and make the best commentary for you. 9 laps left to go, then Wouter has led the race from start all the way to now. Done a fantastic job so far. I don't think anybody will be able to challenge him, and this will be a healthy advantage going into the championship. Wouter 5 wins out of 8. Can he make it 6 out of 9? Pyro having the DRS on Nathan. Pyro having more ERS than Nathan. Is he able to stick with within the 1 second range? Yes he is, but for how long? Or can he fight it back late on the race once Nathan's tyres start fading away just a little bit? Bompier sat in P12. Looks like he has some decent qualifying pace, but in the race it hasn't worked well for him at all in P12. The gaps are huge. The closest battle we've got so far is Waltzy and Knight in P9 and P10. There they go side by side in the AlphaTauri Mercedes. And he puts that AlphaTauri in P9. Also Knight doing the reverse strategy. Is he able to fight back going into turn number 1? I wonder. The reverse strategy hasn't worked out for these medium compound starters. And there he goes then. Goes into turn number 1. Has got the grip to go around the outside. Going into turn number 2. This is going to get very interesting here. Turn 3. Waltzy has the inside line. But Wouter sticking around the outside. Knight sticking around the outside, sorry. Going down the inside. This is going to be very interesting. And still going side by side through these sequence of corners. And wow, Knight stays ahead of him. That's very interesting. But Waltzy will have the DRS on him. And is he able to get him back down into turn number 11? With the power of that DRS. Bringing extra speed on the straight. Is Waltzy able to make a move down the inside? I was actually watching Breaking Bad before this, and Waltzy then moves himself up into P9 ahead of Knight. Is Knight able to fire back? I wonder. He hasn't got a 3 second time penalty, so if he stays within 3 seconds of Waltzy, might find himself in P9. Can he stay within that DRS range? However, I think Ken's closing in, so the more these two battle, the more it lures in Ken. So keep an eye on the Haas driver in P9 there. In P11, sorry. Might find himself getting a few positions if these two continue their scrap like this. Ken could find himself inside the top 10. The Finnish driver representing ERO. And Waltzy then having the DRS on Knight yet again as we make our way down into turn number 1. Yeah, this is the closest battle. Everybody's a second apart from each other or more. And this time Waltzy blocks off the move for Knight, so he's not able to do a switchback on him because he did go a bit deep. And Waltzy then stays into P8. Providing more highlights in this race is Waltzy. Already had a ding-dong battle between himself and Leo. Oh, and Peace picked himself up a 3 second time penalty there. That's interesting. That'll release some pressure off Nathan's shoulder, but bearing in mind though he is 2 seconds away from the pace, so Nathan needs to stay under 3 seconds if he wants to claim P2. And Wouter continuously extending that gap between himself and P's in P2. He's just unstoppable. So he's the Wouter from 2 seasons ago. His last season he was struggling quite a lot, was Wouter, but this season he's managed to find something. He's really on form and really showing the pace this season. Also, the last few races hasn't been his way either. He has sustained damage at the Singapore Grand Prix and at the Canadian Grand Prix. I don't think he, made the right strategy. I think he did make the right strategy call, but he rejoined further down the field than he would have wanted, but clawed his way back to, I think he made an early pit stop at the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure. I think he was on the mediums to start with, but yeah, there's a few safety cars in that race. But yeah, it's just been a phenomenal season from Wouter. It looks like Giroud and Walter swap positions in terms of, like, I don't know, last season and the season before's performances. It looks like Walter's become the Giroud of last season, and Giroud's become the Walter of 2 seasons ago, if that makes sense. We know Giroud was dominating quite a lot and Walter was suffering with pace. But this time Walter's managed to find something. And Ferg, I was talking about him earlier on in this race. He's finally reeled in with Starney. And that battle's going to go on now for P6. And Ferg has got that 3-second time penalty. And there he is then on this long back straight then with DRS on Starney, who's been alone the whole race, has finally got some company, which is Ferg. And Ferg, the aggressor, is the last man you want to see in your wind mirrors. Ferg, one-time champion here in CRL. I remember those days between Ferg and Duwall. The good old CRL days. And yeah, we've got my boss telling me to do the check-in. I never do the check-ins. I'll be racing soon at the Monza Grand Prix, so hopefully that goes well for me. Should be an easy track because it's just full of straights. But here we go then, started then under pressure from Ferg in P7. Let's see what Stanley can do there, because I know back at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix he did make a few mistakes under pressure, but can he keep it composed this time and manage to defend for Ferg? He's got the benefits of Ferg having a penalty, but that's not going to stop Ferg from overtaking Stanley. I wonder what Stanley can do in terms of defence this time, rather than attack like it was at Saudi Arabia. He was applying the pressure, but looks like he put himself under pressure too while he made a few errors in that race. Ken and Tegriff and Liam then fighting for P3. Tegriff's just got himself ahead of Liam. They've exchanged for positions for P13. I think he still score points at that position. And this, I think Tegriff has just made a mistake coming out of turn number 8 and just allowed Liam to come back at him. I think Tegriff has got DRS on Liam. But here we go then, as we make our way out of this final corner. How is Steiny going to defend this, as Ferg is super close to the back of his rear wing? Here we go then. Doesn't make a move into turn 1. He stays behind for the time being. Steiny doesn't fall for that dummy move from Ferg. And, oh, he's made a mistake! Ah, that's unfortunate there from Steiny. That's what I'm talking about, pressure-wise. Once you're under pressure, how can you manage it? How can you soak up the pressure from the car behind? And unfortunately there, Stanley has made a mistake. Hopefully that be his last mistake of the race. He's in a really good position in P7. He did score some points, I think, last time out at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix and at Singapore too, I think. And P7 is a really good position for him, especially on his return to racing. Four laps left to go in this race. No VSCs, no safety cars, a few yellow flags, and that's it. Topher, are you still there, mate? We won't see any safety cars now because I think we're past that point of safety cars. So a race without safety cars here in Miami, not something I would have thought of. I thought there'd be at least one safety car around here, because every time I've commentated or raced around here, there's always been a few safety cars at the Miami Grand Prix. Nathan, the gap was 2 seconds earlier on in the last few laps, and the gap is now 1.6, so he's gained some time back on P's. Nathan's got to be careful not to pick up a 3-second time penalty either, otherwise he'll find himself falling down the, well, not falling down the field, but unlikely to take second place away. And yellow flags in the sector 1, and Nathan has gone for a spin, and he's just given the place towards Pyro now, and there goes the Williams of Joshua. Nathan has made a huge mistake and he's dropped himself out of the podium places now. Nathan, this season hasn't gone well for him. Despite being P2 in the championships, a few mistakes have been made here and there, and another one there has been added to the list of mistakes for Nathan this season. However, his teammate has got past Liam for P13. And Pyro, despite all the, I dare say, mistakes in the past few races, can he find himself on the podium? He's got a 9/10 gap over Joshua in P4. No, he can't, because he's actually got a 6-second time penalty. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's got a 6-second time penalty, so that doesn't matter anyway. And Nathan's just got past Joshua, so I think Nathan can still find himself on the podium here, as Pyro's got himself a 6-second time penalty, so Nathan then still needs to push, but Joshua and Nathan now, they both know a podium is on the cards, so they're going to be absolutely pushing towards the end of this race. Which one of these two will pick up a podium, or if these two continue to fight too hard, can Pyro claim a podium? We'll see. It can be an interesting fight for the podium. Who's going to get the podium? Will it be Pyro, Nathan, or Joshua? Joshua knows now a big opportunity to score a podium is on the cards. Yeah, I'm not quite used to these field spreads. It's super close in qualifying, but when it comes to a race, it's just a massive field spread. Big gaps hovering around. Toe for making a funny comment there. But yeah, Joshua and Nathan know the podium's on the cards for these two. And with AJ's absence, Joshua knows that AJ, well, he'll be able to claw some points back on AJ. And Nathan too, he's currently in P2 in the championship with AJ in P3. Not separated by much, I think, and funnily enough, AJ has got more wins than Nathan this season. I thought Nathan would have a few this season, but turns out AJ, his brother, actually got a win before him. But yeah, congrats to AJ for winning the Singapore Grand Prix this season. Becomes the third different winner this season after Rudy taking some victories and Walter taking victories as well. AJ is a third different winner here in CRL, and there won't be a fourth because Walter is still leading this Grand Prix. It's going to be more interesting than the French Grand Prix. I know there's close battles. There's always have been close battles at the French Grand Prix. We've had a 4-way fight for first before the past few seasons at the Le Castellet Grand Prix, Paul Ricard. I think France will be more entertaining. I think we'll get at least one safety car at the France Grand Prix. I think the French GP will be better than this one for sure. The French GP is not actually a bad track to be honest in terms of racing. Quite enjoy that one, but yeah, unfortunately Miami hasn't brought up a surprise. Walter's just been on his own all race long with nobody around him whatsoever. Closest person that's been near him is Pyro at the start of the race, but other than that, he's just thrown away from the rest of the field and continues to show impressive form once again from Walter. And here comes Joshua. No, he doesn't make him. I think Joshua then, is he saving ERS for the last lap attack on Nathan? It must be. So Nathan, oh, he makes a mistake and he's going to go in the wall. No, he saves it. Another big mistake there from Nathan, which has huge consequences on his race. Nathan there, I think he's definitely dropped himself away from the podium. Now this podium belongs to Joshua if he doesn't make any mistakes, and Nathan there, he is not made too many mistakes today, and it's just cost himself an easy podium because Pyro's had 6 seconds of time penalties. This podium then is going to go towards Joshua with a clean drive in P4, unless Nathan can find a way back at Joshua, because he's currently in the DRS zone of Joshua, and I think he'll get DRS on this part of the track. Yes, he will. You might see a last lap battle for the podium between Joshua and Nathan. Might not be over yet for Nathan, but it's very slim. You can't afford to make any mistakes. Same goes for Joshua as well. Joshua as well, going to keep it nice and clean, taking advantage of Nathan's mistakes in this race. Keep an eye on these two. However, Walter makes his way towards the penultimate corner. Now riding the final 2 corners. Here we go then. Walter will come across the line very shortly. And he comes across the line now to win the Miami Grand Prix. But main eyes focus on Nathan, trying to regain a podium after making loads of mistakes. Here we go then. Nathan going to go down the inside after he made a mistake on this corner previously. Joshua trying to stick it around the outside. And they both make and they both make contact. And Joshua there is going to reclaim P3. And Nathan, in his desperate attempt to try and get back on the podium, will finish in P7. And Stanley takes advantage of him as well. Okay, it's just been an absolute nightmare for Nathan in this race. Can't catch a break in this race. They both made contact. And unfortunately there, Nathan took the pain. Joshua will reclaim a podium. Pyro there, I bet he was excited when that happened. Look at the gap between himself and Pyro, 1.6 as well. So I bet Pyro had his heart in his mouth, knowing he could have got a podium if those two went to the wall together. I thought they were going to go in the wall together. I thought they were going to go in the wall together. I thought Pyro would get a podium. But yeah, I'm not quite sure who's to blame for that one, because it happened very quickly indeed. Couldn't quite grasp what happened. Did Nathan there get too happy at the throttle, made contact with Joshua? Did Joshua, I'm not quite sure, did he tag Nathan's rear right wheel? I'm not quite sure there, but all will be investigated after the race if they do decide to put a complaint in. I just had to cough, didn't I, at the main pinpoint of this race. Quite hard to commentate by yourself, but anyways, congratulations to Walter. 6 out of 9 races he's won this season. Incredible results from Walter. Pease finishes in P2 with Joshua claiming his 3rd podium of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Think so. Pyro in P4, Ferg in P5, Stanley impressive P6, Nathan P7, Leo P8, Ken did manage to overtake Waltzy in the end. ILT Bompier in P11, Knight in P12, Liam in P13, to Griff P14, and that is it for the Miami Grand Prix. Things got tasty towards the end of the Grand Prix. It may have been a disappointing one, but yeah, it can't always be good races. But yeah, that's it for me here at the Miami Grand Prix. I'll see you all in France next time out at Port Ricard next week, Thursday. Make sure you tune in for Tier 1 at 8:30 yet again for round number 10 of the championship. Walter won this race and he extended his championship lead over Nathan. Nathan there, can he catch a break? Can he finally get the results he needs and he wants so desperately to try and end that unlucky streak? But however, it's Walter who comes out at the top. Congratulations towards Pease as well, from P5 to P2, Joshua P3 and Pyro. If he didn't get those penalties, would have got a podium. And Ferg, good recovery drive, it's got to be said. Good recovery drive from him in P5 as well, so did go unnoticed. He's dropped down to P15 at one point, got himself back into P5, so good drive there from Ferg. Once again from the Mercedes driver. And that's it for me. I'm done, and hopefully you all enjoy the MotoGP race this weekend. Don't think Formula 1's on. No, it's not. It's next weekend, I think, at the USA Grand Prix. Everyone have a good weekend, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.